Well, we're no longer in the shelter of the shop. We're into real winter temperatures now. Oh, it's frustrating. Despite our best efforts, we can't get the engine running right now. In my experience, not that I have that much, but it's always the carburetor. Everything's more of a pain in the cold. Welcome to my dining room table. If I sound a little dejected, it's because I thought we'd be out playing in the snow already. Just, I guess, wasn't getting fuel and air properly, which is this guy's job. This is the ever-feared carburetor. So the carburetor sits like this. Air comes in that side. Fuel comes in the back, down into the bowl, and it gets sucked up into this tube that runs through the middle of it, and it's got these little valves on it. That's the make it go faster valve, and the one on this side, controlled by this knob, that's a choke. Starting the engine, it cuts off most of the air coming in, so you get a lot of fuel, rush of fuel all at once, which just makes it easier to start, and then you open them back up and you get proper airflow. I have not taken one of these apart before. I've seen it done 100 times over on YouTube, so I'm pretty much an expert. The guy I usually watch is Musty1. I'll put a link to his channel. I'm going to try and take this guy apart, clean it, put it back together, and hope that everything works better when we come back. I also have a parts diagram, which is mildly terrifying. We're working on that type of carburetor. Start taking it apart and see what we find. This guy down here is the main jet. This little screw turns up and down. It's a little valve that controls how much fuel is let in to the carburetor. So you need the right amount of fuel mixed with the right amount of air to get the proper to get the engine to run, basically. So you can see the main jet here has got a little hole in the side and then a hole in the top, and that's what where the fuel comes from the bowl into the carburetor. There's the float bowl. I cleaned that earlier. This is the float that I repaired the last time I was in here about 5 or 6 years ago. That's what controls the level of fuel sitting inside the bowl being available to be sucked up into the engine. Way down in here, there's a little pin. I'll show you when I take it out. But when the bowl fills up with fuel, the float goes up and it closes the valve. When there's low fuel, the pin comes down, valve opens up, and lets more fuel in. I'll pull the pin out here. There's a float, and it already fell out. Here's the little valve I was talking about. Doesn't look overly worn down. In case you're wondering, no, I do not have permission to be doing this at the dining room table. To my knowledge, my wife does not watch these videos, so as long as you guys don't tell her, I think we're safe. The reason I want to take that off is to get to this screw. That is the idle jet, or controls the idle jet. That's another little needle valve. As you screw it in, it closes, or screw it back, it opens the valve a little bit more and controls how much fuel the engine gets when it's in kind of low, the idle position. And how far in it goes is usually measured by screwing it all the way in and then backing it off a certain number of turns. So I've counted 1.5 turns. I think the factory setting is about 1 turn, so that's the tip of the valve right there. We can still take the main jet apart. one's got a washer and a little rubber ring on it. So don't want to get carb cleaner on any of these seals. I'm going to pull one there. These are fairly important to create an air seal because there's suction on here, and if you're sucking in air through any of these gaskets, you're getting more air than is intended from the settings of the carburetor. These things also apparently swell when they're exposed to carb cleaner, so I'm going to keep that away. There's a gasket on the side. See if it comes off in one piece. So of all the pieces we looked through, the only one that seems suspect is this ring. It's definitely lost its squishiness. It's a little on the brittle side. It's not falling apart. I don't see any major cracks in it, but it's possible that I just really need to kind of crank the bowl down to make this seal around the outside. Let's just start reassembling. So I got main jet, spring, washer, rubber dude. Interesting. We're also missing a bowl nut washer. And this guy gets screwed in all the way and then backed off 1.5 turns. That's all the way in. Half, 1, 1.5. Next we'll do the idle jet. That one does not have an O-ring, or if it does, it's stuck inside. You know what? It is in there. Let's see if we can get it out with one of our picks, or do we care? There we go. 1, 2. Give that a little cleaning while we're here. Looks to be in good shape. This one is supposed to be turned all the way in and then backed off 1 turn. That's all the way in. Half, 1. That is not the setting it was on when we took it apart. Let's get the float and the needle in. Got the pin. Pin goes in the hole. There we go. And now this little hinge pin goes in and holds everything together. Musty one makes this look a lot easier than it really is. One side in, 2 sides in. And the way to check to see this is working, you hold it one way and blow in to the gas port when it's upside down like this, and the the valve is shut, no air should go through, and when you flip it over the other way, the float falls down, air should be able to come through. So let's try it out. Nothing. Turn it over. Air is going through. I think we're in business here. Let's get the ring on. Get the bowl on. And last but not least, the main jet with no washer. That is definitely another potential problem. That would cause fuel that normally sits in the bowl to leak out. Although, you know, it has been running for 10 years. Not perfectly, but for 10 years without that. They say to tighten that down to 50 inch-pounds. As AVE says, click. I'll link him in the description too. I'm gonna call that done for tonight. Hopefully the next time we meet, we'll actually be riding. Have a good night. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye. Remember, if my wife asks, you saw nothing.
You didn't see anything, right?